Speaking of transfer quarterbacks, someone who's already transferred, right? How about big number 47, Bear Bachmeier, 6'2", 225, 4-star composite, Stanford transfer after all the upheaval, ends up at BYU, worked out because of the whole Retzlaff situation. The stats are solid considering his age, 1,300 plus passing yards, 62% passer, 9 touchdowns, 3 picks, running the ball well, 8 touchdowns there. You mentioned had a nice hurdle against Utah, had a couple nice runs where he really showed some physicality and some upside. It's amazing because me and Pete were talking about the situation and when it happened with Retzlaff and that it's like, wow, this is happening right before the season. This seems like a disaster. And putting all the off-field stuff and like that part of it aside, we don't know the situation as a college football show. We're not qualified to really comment on what went down, but just from a football standpoint, it looked like it was a disaster. It ended up working out for BYU, ended up working out for Tulane. It was a rare win-win, and now they got a true freshman who they can build around.
Yeah, I was when the Retzlaff stuff happened, I was kind of disappointed because BYU has a pretty solid roster, and I thought Retzlaff was going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12, and to have to move on to a freshman who transferred from Stanford over to BYU, hasn't even been there like his entire time out of high school. It was definitely worrying, but he's exceeded those expectations. Basically every like advanced rushing metric, like missed tackles forced, yards after contact, everything. He's like top 5, top 10 among all quarterbacks in. So he's been a really effective runner. That was kind of one of the selling points when he was a recruit. He was a low 4-star on the composite out of high school, 3-star for 247. But he's got a 6'2", 225-pound frame and carries it well, isn't afraid to lower the shoulder, obviously pulled the hurdle out this weekend against Utah. And you see here, I mean, he's the 4th true freshman quarterback to start his career 7-0. And that's, for the most part, pretty great company, 2 of the 3 guys. So,
P, you recruited out there in Utah. I don't know if BYU in particular, but I know you.
Yeah, I did actually. I recruited a few kids from BYU. I mean, I think, and I don't even know what you're going to ask me, but I think they're well positioned in this era, man. You get a certain type of kid out there who, listen, they're obviously guys will still leave and transfer in and all that. That's what this thing is. But you got to be locked in over there. It goes without saying. So I pulled up. This is one of his clips from. This is a 1-game highlight from high school. But no, it's one of those places that you got to be about football, and I think that helps them in this era because once those guys know what they're getting into when you choose BYU.
And just the level of football, it always surprises me, and maybe it shouldn't after all these years, but just like seeing their high school teams, right? I mean, their high school teams are good. I remember when
well coached.
They came tough, as you see here. They came down to
South Florida, right?
To play Booker T, right? And they were able to really, they lost the game in overtime. And by the way, Bachmeier's not from Utah, just to be clear, he's from California. But just those Utah teams and the culture around these teams is well coached, tough, and quite frankly, more athletic than they get credit for. This as a California player, but look, if you're Utah or BYU in this case, anyone of these Holy War teams, you can go down and get guys from California because, Bachmeier was going to go to Stanford. Stanford fell apart. It looks like Stanford's trending up, but certainly there's a vulnerability there. These California teams all had their vulnerabilities, right? USC just lost. Who knows where their season goes? UCLA looked like one of the worst teams in the country. Now they're playing better. But I mean, like, it's not like these California teams are clicking in all cylinders where a BYU or a Utah can't come in and grab a guy like Bachmeier, be opportunistic, take advantage of the upheaval, and get really should be their quarterback of the future for the next 3 years.
Yeah, and I think this brings up a larger point to the fact that you talk about the great coaches in college football. Kalani Sitake's name should be up there, and they're very lucky that he's a BYU alum. Like, you hear, and he played there. Like, how many you have Mario Cristobal at Miami, you have some other guys across the country who were in that same situation, but it certainly means more. And if you're BYU, they have some big money boosters over there. They are financially in a good place, and if I'm in that region, again, you have to be a certain type of kid. You obviously do, and that is a part of what they recruit, and the culture fits are matching what they bring in physically, which is they got freaks all across the board there. I mean, they've got really good athletes. I mean, I think people like you're getting at, the people forget how much talent there is in Utah as a whole.
Yes.
I have to point out, I think his parents are awesome. These are their children's names. So there's obviously Hank Bachmeier. He played at Boise State, Louisiana Tech, and Wake Forest, had like 8,000 plus passing yards in his career. Then there's there's Bear. Then there's Tiger Bachmeier, who was at Stanford for 2 years, receiver. Now he followed Bear over to BYU. And then there is Buck Bachmeier. So I don't really know what Hank did to make them upset or whatever, or maybe they just decided to get more creative because I think he's the oldest. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, Hank. I mean, maybe he's named after Montgomery, Alabama legend Hank Williams, right? That maybe that's one of the greatest, probably greatest country singer, at least songwriter that has ever lived. So maybe they're just big fans of that. But yeah, I thought his brother was going to be a better player. I mean, he was a good player, but like I thought he was going to be like in the NFL. Like I remember when you're an FSU guy, so he played FSU when he was a true freshman, and he looked unbelievable.
Didn't they beat FSU? Did they beat FSU that year?
Did.
Yeah, right.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to just roll after that. And look, like you said, 8,000 yards. The guy was a good college football player. But I thought he might have been like a star of the game, which looks like maybe
he had 406 yards in his first career start against FSU. That was to open up the year.
Oh, his brother looks like more of a runner.
Yeah,
I think that's a big difference.
I'll be right back, guys. I got to handle something.